Do legends tell us about the past? Are they meant to frighten us? Meant to take advantage of what we fear? Or do some hold some trace of truth, passed down so we never forget? We question, we search, we discover. We discover portals to the past.
Shit just went off.
What? Mel's going off. Capture it. Kill that. Kill that. Something's disturbing the electric field.
Was it you?
No, I wasn't near it.
I moved and it started going off.
Do that again.
Don't go near him.
Yeah, don't go near me. Just did that, do it again. Shh, please.
Is there someone here? You can come up to us.
Did you guys whisper? No.
Mark.
Hello, and welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. Again, sorry for any audio issues that you were listening to before. My name is Justin Brown, and you're on my blog page, my paranormal blog page, where I pretty much talk about what bothers me in the paranormal field, what interests me in the paranormal field. But this is particularly a platform where I can get up on a soapbox and kind of preach and tell you guys how I feel. If I still sound choppy, let me know. I'm going to listen to myself real quick. Sounds like I'm good for now. So if I start messing up again, just start spamming me in the chat. Hopefully Missy will see it. I have a moderator this time, so hopefully that'll help me not miss any questions. But here we go. We're going to try to get this off and going. The topic for today is the mind and the metaphysical. And I pretty much ask questions, about the psychic phenomena. Is it real or not? Do we have a sixth sense, or is it just, a powerful imagination people have, and other psychological factors that involve how we perceive reality, and then specifically how we perceive the paranormal. So thanks, guys. I see that you're commenting and telling me my audio. Sometimes I just have to restart OBS, so that's all I had to do. So I'm glad you're joining me. Feel free to share and invite people to this live stream that you may think would be interested. Hopefully my family stays quiet. They usually never do, so if you hear some background noise, that's what it is. So one of my group members specifically wanted me to talk about these type of subjects on the show. He wanted me to talk about, the whole pareidolia scene, the whole confirmation bias scene. He wants me to address the psychological aspect of the paranormal. And that part of the paranormal interests me 100%. I am constantly reading literature, watching videos, and learning about science and applying it to the paranormal research field, and involved with that is the psychological aspect. I aced psychology in school. I love that subject, and of course I use that in my paranormal research. So we're going to talk about it tonight. If you have any questions, Missy is going to be moderating your questions and sending them to me. Hopefully I can see them pop up on my screen when I get them in. So if you have any questions about the topic or anything I speak about during the show, by all means, ask away. But one of the first things I want to talk about is the psychology behind religion and the psychology behind faith-based things like religion, the belief in life after death, how we cope with our own mortality, aspects of our mind that allow us to reach out into areas that are beyond what's black and white and what's just physically there. Art, music, love, any philosophical topic that's out there. Why is the brain seemingly wired to like those things, to want to think that way? Why are we like that? Well, I'm not going to get too much into it because it could take up hours of discussion about this subject matter, because over the history of our race and culture, we have been talking about it. So there's so much content to draw from. But based off just a general thing of all the things I've learned and read about, what we fear the most is our own mortality. We have to deal with and cope with knowing that we are going to die, and how are we going to feel about that? So a thing I think we can all agree on is we don't want to die. The normal general thing about our mortality is not dying. How are we going to do that and move forward? So we know that we can't escape mortality rather, and death. But through the history of time, there have been beliefs and cultures that think that they can provide everlasting life through some means. Okay, the ancient Egyptians had a really cool take on it. Christianity, a lot of religions, a lot of cultures had their own take on everlasting life. So they pretty much generated a religion around what people feared and what people wished for was something within ourselves to move on past our physical being, whether it be a soul, what have you. Okay, so that is embedded in all cultures that I've learned about through my research in high school, and even before I became a paranormal researcher. It's heavy in all cultures that I see and read about and learn about. So that has an impact on what we perceive as paranormal. Okay, and I just wanted to say that up front, because there is a lot of debate whether our consciousness is deterministic or free will. Okay, and that pretty much what that means is our genetic disposition kind of in control and guiding us what decisions we make and what life we have based on what we already had predetermined? Is it like a domino effect, or do we have just free reign, free will? We can do what we want. Nothing is determined, and everything that we experience in this life and in this reality is based off choice. And that is interesting when you come to talk about what we're going to talk about tonight when it comes, to the power of suggestion and the mind. And if you're messaging me, please don't message me. If you can't comment, that's okay. It will distract me, so please don't message me while I'm on the show. First things first, okay? Right now, where we're, it's unsettling where we're at now, because there is a lot of power and a lot of weight leading us towards or down a path of believing that everything is very materialistic. Science has been a very useful tool in that regard. We have determined that there is a lot of things involving our religious culture that is just either faulty, false, or quite, it breaks it down, based on what everybody has been learning about not only our reality but ourselves. Jeremy says I'm back like a bad dream. Or J-Roy, sorry. Leroy. Am I reading this wrong? Yeah, Leroy. I can't see the name very well on the screen. Thanks for coming back, Leroy. I appreciate it. So, where was I? When we look at where we're at now, there's a lot of people out there that are agnostic. There's a lot of people out there that are just straight up atheists. They don't believe in life after death. They don't believe in spirits, ghosts, God, anything. They just think that we're here by chance. There's no meaning to life. And when we die, that's it. All right. So what does that mean? What kind of a person will that make you into? Will that make you appreciate this life anymore? Thinking that? That's a good question, right? If I felt that we are a mistake and there's no meaning to this life and all of that, I would find that being very impactful to how I behave, how I look at life, how I treat others, and how I feel in general. I urge you guys to do experiments and reach out to your own communities and ask questions and talk to people who are agnostic and atheists and see how they deal with their own mortality and how they view reality in that sense. What's up, Joel? Thanks for joining me. Hey, where's the popcorn? Man, I'm sorry I don't have any popcorn to give you. You're going to have to reach in your cupboard and pull out some instant popcorn. But that is probably what I'm going to tell you, that the main reason behind our own art forms, our music, our culture, we are trying to give meaning constantly all the time to who we are, why we're here, to the outside world that we perceive. Okay, that is part of not only our culture but ourselves. We are hardwired to do that. Over the ages, we have come to try to answer the questions of the unknown in those ways. Topics and things that we can't possibly understand, we kind of fill in the blank. Okay, is what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of things that we fill in the blank. So religion fills in a lot of blanks for us. When we were left hopeless and when we're left oblivious to what's going on and what's out there, when we have things to fill in the blanks, we feel a lot more comfortable. We experience a lot less stress, and we can go on our daily lives and less panic and less, overall, stress. So that is a very good premise to start from. So when we come to talking about the paranormal and ghosts and the supernatural in a general sense, angels, demons, these type of entities, the occult, witchcraft, magic, all those things will stem from that culture, from that premise. Okay, so we'll talk about things that lie outside of those things as we go on, but I want people to understand where it stems from. Okay, so our culture, religion, faith-based, ways of thinking and dealing with our own mortality is hardwired within us, and that provides an explanation on our belief in such things. Now, what part of our mind helps that become reality for us? Well, there's two things I want to talk about amongst many things that you can talk about. There's a few things you can talk about, okay? And we're going to bring those up, all right? We're going to go to the screen, and we're going to come up with confirmation bias. Okay. You start from a baseline, all right? The definition of confirmation bias is the tendency to interpret new evidence as confirmation of one's existing beliefs or theories. Okay? So if you have a baseline belief or idea, hypothesis, theory on something, you are going to search for confirmation of those things. And when you are confronted with things that oppose that, you're going to just push it off to the side, disregard it, and you're only going to surround yourself with things that support it. And that part of our psychology is kind of within us on all fronts. You see it on social media. They surround themselves with friends that constantly, give them praise, that constantly feed them positive feedback, and they try to push away all the negative feedback and all the things that people will tell them that they're wrong about, and so on and so forth. So you'll have a control of how you're going to confirm your own biases. And that is definitely true in the paranormal. RJ says technical issues seems to be running rampant tonight. I keep losing my connection, so I'm not be able to catch the whole show tonight. I did share it to my page. Thanks, man. I'm sorry about the technical problems. That really sucks. But you can watch it in post. It'll be up on the Facebook page after it is over. You can rewatch it when you have less issues, or you can watch it on YouTube. So I apologize, RJ. So here we go. Confirmation biases. Everybody understands this. Everybody knows it exists, but they fail to recognize when it's happening to them because of their own confirmation bias. So how does that apply to the paranormal? Well, let's just say for the most typical scenario I can think of is someone that's just now starting off into trying to know whether there's spirits out there, entities. If the paranormal is out there, they'll take their their camera out and take photos, and they'll see anomalies in them, things that they don't understand, and things, you know, that's in there that they didn't see there naturally with their own eyes. So we're going to talk about orbs. We're going to place orbs into this. Someone could take orb photos for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and believe that it is a spiritual presence in their photograph. And once they show people, there's going to be a whole bunch of people that jumps on board with them and says, yes, I have the same photographs, I believe that they're spirits, so on and so forth. And then there's going to be a part of the community that says, no, that's just dust, moisture, that's just, you know, an aberration of optics, you know, that's nothing paranormal whatsoever. So if you strongly want to believe in the paranormal, and you strongly want to believe in what you are presenting as paranormal, you may become biased. And once you become biased, you are susceptible to confirmation bias. You're only going to surround yourself with people that agree with you. You're only going to surround yourself with people with similar beliefs and everything that falls into place, and you're going to push away everything that opposes it. All right, Jessica. All right, so that is confirmation bias. That is a huge factor in the paranormal right now as we speak. There's a lot of people out there that think they know what is paranormal. They think that they're pretty good at what they do, and they are not very susceptible to negative or constructive feedback when people tell them they're wrong, that it's not this, and whatever you say is wrong. You know, that causes stress to people. So there's no standardized thing telling you what is paranormal, what is not. So you are very susceptible to biases. So that's one thing that the mind can do to you in the paranormal field that can cause problems, and we need to address those. You know, if you're subjecting your paranormal research to peer review, you have to bring down your own bias to your own work. So people who give you feedback can feel comfortable with giving you feedback, and you feel comfortable receiving any type of feedback that you get. Now, if you're confronted with opposing, you know, information that, you know, on one side you believe this, but there's information on the other side that it's not, that's called cognitive dissonance, okay? And a lot of people suffer from that as well. Okay, they don't want to hear. That's another part of confirmation bias. They do not want to hear or deal with the stress that involves with being wrong, or, you know, they don't want to deal with the anxiety of having two opposing beliefs when it comes to something that they care about. So, you know, people in religion suffer from that a great deal. Okay, they find it hard to doubt their own faith, and any type of doubt in your faith is very confusing and very stressful to people. So that is one thing that you can draw parallels to with the paranormal. They tie in their own spirituality and their beliefs on religion and the afterlife with everything spiritual. So if you are suffering from confirmation bias, and if you are suffering from cognitive dissonance, those are actual things that involve psychology that you can learn about and try to expand your mind so you can be in a position to see it from their side and still see it from your side, and maybe meet in the middle and say, hey, I could be wrong. Why could I be wrong? Because of this reason. This is a reason why I could be wrong, My mind is a trickster. My mind is not something that I can fully trust 100%. So faith could be a good thing, faith can be a bad thing in that regard. So I definitely wanted to bring that up as well. So another thing we're going to talk about is, let's see here, what other things do we have to talk about? We can talk about pareidolia, okay? And there's a lot of things in this realm that we can branch off of, but we're going to address it. Bill says, I'm always investigating and updating my info, always an investigator, never an expert. I appreciate that very much, Bill. And if everybody felt that way in the paranormal field, and if everybody actually did that in practice, we would have a lot less issues. But pareidolia, okay, this starts way back to the Rorschach ink blot tests, okay? There's this thing in psychology where they put some ink in some paper and they fold it and they open it up and they ask you, what do you see? Your mind is going to take that random information, okay, and try to turn it into something they know. All your brain does when you're in conscious, in your awake state, is try, it brings in the visual and all the sensory information and compares it to stuff that you already know. And that's why over time you develop memories and you develop your sense of self and you develop your own reality based off what you remember and what you compare it to. But the technical definition of pareidolia is the tendency to perceive a specific, often meaningful image in a random or ambiguous visual pattern. The scientific explanation for some people is pareidolia, or the human ability to see shapes or make pictures out of randomness. Think of the ink blot test, or ink blot rather. So that is interesting. Okay, how many people do they send? People that have messages sent to them. If you're a paranormal researcher watching this, photos, do they believe that's got ghosts in them? Okay, it happens all the time, every day, all day long. And when people are searching for things, things that show up on photograph or things that they see with their own eyes, they're constantly searching for something, okay? And when they see a face, or if they see something, that reminds them of something else, they could be, doing something that's called pareidolia. If you see a cloud that looks like a horse, that's pareidolia. If you see a face and the grain of a wood door, that's pareidolia. If you're looking at a grainy photo, a very low image, low quality with low light in it, and it's all grainy and maybe there's some motion blur in there, you are very susceptible to pareidolia. Okay, you're searching for ghosts in this photo, but what you're seeing is just a mess, but your brain will interpret. They will find the ghost. They'll find the spirit in there. Leroy says, sorry all, I cannot connect for some reason. I'll try again next time. Wow, that's crazy that people are struggling to watch. That is crazy. But yeah, if you're having problems connecting, by all means let me know. Yeah, we always want to see a face. That is true, Bill. The brain is wired to connect with people that have faces. One of the good examples of things is the bugs and the animals that seem to have eyes and faces on their bodies to fool predators. Okay? Some of them are to fool them, to scare them away. Some of them are to confuse them so they won't consider them as prey. Okay? So that is an awesome example of pareidolia in that, in nature. So nature understands pareidolia and they understands the mind. It's not just comes to the human mind. It branches into all forms of consciousness. So when you're thinking of mind when it comes to the paranormal, those are the two things I pretty much want you to test yourself with if you're struggling with those types of things. I want you to try to learn about confirmation bias, cognitive dissonance, and pareidolia, okay? Because if you can wipe that out, understand that, and move forward from that, you're going to be better than most people that are involved in the paranormal field as we speak. So another thing, if you have any other questions or comments based on that, by all means, let me know. And but I want to shift gears real quick. I want to start talking about psychics. Okay, why do people believe that they have psychic abilities? Why do people search out and seek out psychics to help them in situations? Well, it goes along with confirmation bias. If you already have a conceived or predetermined outcome in your mind and you want confirmed from somebody else, a psychic is a really good way to do that, and that ties into it. So please don't get offended if you are a psychic and medium watching this, either live or in post. I'm not telling you that you're a fraud or a fake, but let's face it. The field of metaphysics, when it comes to psychics and mediums, they are filled with charlatans, frauds, and liars. Okay, Joel says, I love the way you point out the way there are two sides to every scenario to an investigation. Do you think pareidolia has increased with all the TV shows that have launched throughout the years, or did the shows open up the minds of the folks that normally wouldn't be involved? Now, I do think that shows could possibly open up people's minds, but those people that they reach out to that they do have an impact were on the fence, maybe. And the reason they were on the fence is they didn't want to get looked at as taboo or as weird or as a liar, okay, or as someone who's stupid or ignorant. So the more popular something is from that standpoint, the easier it is to say, okay, maybe I've seen a ghost at one point, or maybe I do believe in the possibility. So that could be an answer to that question. The other part is, do you think pareidolia has increased with all the TV shows? Yes, I do. I think the more and more people find acceptance in trying to seek out the paranormal, the more susceptible they are to pareidolia and the mind playing tricks. Okay, so everybody's going to go out there and grab a voice recorder. Everybody's going to go out there and grab a camera, and they're going to take pictures. They're going to take recordings, and they're even audio. I'm glad you brought that up because it made me think about audio pareidolia as well. So we're going to talk about audio pareidolia too. I don't want to step over that. But to answer I hope that answers your question. I think it does impact it in that way tremendously. But hopefully I don't forget the audio pareidolia thing, because I want to talk about that real quick. But the psychic phenomena is, filled with all kinds of people trying to take advantage, or people that genuinely believe that they have ability but don't realize that what they're doing has nothing to do with any type of supernatural ability. So I'll address your comments here in a sec, guys. The psychic ability is something that I'm trying to test and add to my research. Okay, it needs to be addressed in a scientific way, and a lot of psychics and mediums do not pass those tests because of expectation of 100% or a higher percentage than what statistics would allow outside of chance. Okay, so if you looked at a dozen boxes and you asked a psychic to guess which box held the glass of water, they are expected to be successful more than chance would allow. Okay, they're not looking for 100%, they're just looking for something anomalous outside of chance. So nothing to this point has got them convinced that psychics do have abilities, and that's why psychics don't like taking those tests, because they know intuitively that they cannot predict something to that to that degree. So there we are with the psychics. Okay, but the confirmation bias ties into that. So if you had children that passed, or family that passed, or something like that, you're very susceptible for a psychic and medium to step in to tell you what you need to know, or something comforting to help you cope with that. And that is a problem that becomes very, very bad. It just looks bad on the paranormal. Joel says, yes sir. Derek, agreed. Joel, most people want to be like TV stars. They don't realize it's not the correct way. You know what? That's another show. I could go into that, Derek, and as well as I do that people want to be recognized, they want to be popular, they want to be famous. Our society is addicted to that, of searching out people that are famous. They're addicted to famous people and pulp culture. They want to be that. That is what everybody, even the people who eventually become famous, want to be. That drives them to do that. So when it comes to the paranormal field, it's no different at all. Okay, guys? People want to be famous. They want to be recognized. They want to be popular. So, of course, they're going to emulate what they see on TV. They're going to emulate what other people are doing that's popular. Joel says, I've noticed being a musician that the paranormal world is starting to turn into a band-like environment. We all state when our next gig is to tune in. That's right. That's a really cool comparison. I enjoy that. They want a following. A band wants a following, and the paranormal community wants a following, because providing content that's entertaining, that a following deserves. So yeah, that the two things are very similar. I agree with that. But you're gonna piss Matt off already. No. Does psychic ability? If you're going to ask me the question directly, do I think it's possible that people have some type of crazy ability to know things that they should not know based on all the available sensory input available to them? It's possible. And the only reason I think that's possible is I've experienced things that people have told me who either claim to be psychic or exhibit some type of psychic ability, either through a really insane intuition that has nothing to do with the supernatural, or possibly being supernatural. One of those things being my mother. I've been around her, majority of my life, so I've had a lot of case study in that regard. As far as other psychics, I have not put them through that type of scrutiny and that experience. But damn it, Derek. That's funny. But, I do believe it's possible, but I do believe it needs to be tested and understood. The expectation for people who claim to be psychic or are psychic shouldn't be held to high standards. No one's perfect, so psychics shouldn't be perfect. So that should be said. And we need to understand more through, proper protocols involving science. So I just wanted to put that out there. Before we go on, I'm going to go to a break. If you guys don't mind, I'm just going to go take a few minutes to show you guys a few promo videos, and I will return. Please share this. Please like it. Keep commenting. Keep up with all the cool work, and I'll be back in just a moment. How long have you been associated with the school?
We got the school in March of 2017, so about 4 or 5 months.
Nice. So, you came to the school. What did you expect?
I had heard from reading about it that it was one of the most haunted places in the state of Ohio. And I was my skeptical mindset, I was kind of like, this is going to be just an empty building, we might get one or two things, I don't know. Come to find out, when we came here the first time to do our first investigation ever as a team, we got more activity here than we did at any other location we've ever been to. And we've been to places like the Ohio State Reformatory, big name places like that. So I was not expecting what we got.
Somebody out here named Kevin. All right, welcome back. I seen your comment there, Jules. So you are welcome back anytime, brother. Get some grub. That's right. Okay, so what we are talking about, if you're just now tuning in, we are talking about the mind versus the paranormal. Can the mind play tricks on you? Is the psychic phenomena real? All those things. Okay, so yes, we do have to be objective and look at all things regarding the paranormal as not black and white. We have to not be so skeptical. We have not to be so believing in everything. Let's just take a step back and try to be careful about what we think and what we say about things. That's all I'm asking. Okay, so that being said, when you are addressing others, if you think something is not what the other says, I want you to be nice and respectful to them. Even though you may not think that they deserve it, and you may think that they're, garbage, try to do it anyway, because other people will be seeing you place judgment on them, and other people is going to be seeing what you're saying to others, and they may base their own, judgment on you based on how you talk to others when you're giving them that feedback. So keep that in mind. Okay, try not to sound so cocky. Try not to be a know-it-all when you tell them. That's what I do, because I've had people tell me, believe it or not, a lot of people probably believe me, that I'm cocky, that I make myself out to be someone who knows everything. That's absolutely not true, but it happens. So I try very hard not to do that. So that's that. All right, well, let's talk about the audio pareidolia before we move it on, because EVP research is huge, right? There's a lot of people out there doing EVPs. The shows popularized them. It's been popular for the last 50 years or more. So pareidolia in the EVP field is huge. It's probably even more huge than it is the visual pareidolia. And the reason that is just, your ears do the same thing your eyes do. It will fill in the blank. If you hear something, you will try to make sense of it, even if it's not coherent. If you add a subtitle to something incoherent, the mind will say, oh, okay, I hear that. And that's the power of suggestion. That's another thing Scott Carter would like me to talk about this evening, the power of suggestion. Okay? If you noticed, a year or two back, I stopped subtitling my anomalous audio in our field research. Why? Because of the power of suggestion is so powerful, as the term states. Adding subtitles to things is bad, okay? Because of the power of suggestion. If you're trying to hear something and figure out what it is, and you're being suggested what it is, then you're influencing their objectivity to the peer review you're trying to put out there. You think you just recorded a phantom bullfrog? That's hilarious. If you're hearing it on my end, it's probably my family. They're only loud when I'm live streaming. It's funny. But power suggestion is not only connected to EVP, it's also connected to everything that you see in the paranormal almost. All these ghost hunts and ghost walks and tours that you get, they're going to suggest all types of things to you. They're going to subject you to the history. They're going to subject you to the ghost lore. They're going to suggest that this is a hot spot. They're going to suggest that people feel creepy in here. They're going to provide all these accounts of the history. And I'm also not getting all the comments. That's okay. We're not too flooded tonight, Missy, so don't worry about it. I'm doing okay with the comments. But power suggestion's huge, okay? Try, if you think you're susceptible to power suggestion or want to eliminate it completely, try not doing the historical tour. If you want to know if a place is haunted, do not learn anything about it. Do not talk to people that's been there. Go in there completely blank and completely ignorant to anything that's going on, okay? Even go there during the day and not the night. So, the power suggestion even kind of ties into your fear of the dark and your fear of things that you can't see coming up on you even. But that's another part of psychology a little bit. But the power of suggestion is huge in the paranormal field, and we need to identify what it is, realize that it's going on, and try to stop it from happening. So one thing we can do, if you're putting out videos and literature and evidence of your work, do not subtitle it. Ask them what they hear, tell them to private message you or to let you know without others seeing what they think, so you get an objective form of feedback. So if you want to classify an EVP as A, do it that way, and then you can't have people telling you that, you are suggesting that to people. Marilyn, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So the power suggestion can run rampant in the paranormal field. It can cause all sorts of problems. I want you guys to know what it is, identify with it, and realize that it is an issue that needs to be resolved in our paranormal field and in community. Okay, it's really hard out there, guys. People watch ghost shows, they love them, they're obsessed with the paranormal. I know I am. They want to know what these places look like, what people's experiences are when they go there. They want to hear about all the stories and everything they sponge it in. Okay, but all that is doing is adding to your power of suggestion, adding to your confirmation bias. I mean, it's just adding all these psychological, factors to how you're going to perceive things once you're there or anything. Derek says, that's why I try not to research a location very much or read so much into it and get compromised. That's it. Okay. It's almost impossible when you're trying, we're going to watch an interesting video at the end of this, but when you're trying to research whether what you feel and what you sense is paranormal, it's almost impossible to say, okay, I read about somebody getting touched in this room. Okay. And then all of a sudden you felt like maybe something touched you because you're in the dark. Your senses are so through the roof because you're in the dark and you're in this haunted location. Any sensation on your body is going to feel paranormal. And then all of a sudden you feel like, oh, I feel like I'm touched. There you go. Power suggestion, confirmation bias. All those psychological factors can play into that experience you just had. And all it was maybe a slight increase in blood pressure or something not paranormal that you would perceive as paranormal. So that is very, very interesting to me. Okay. I want to show you this video. Let's see if we can go to a screen capture here. Let's go to my webcam, make me smaller. Let me get rid of this stuff. Okay. Oops, we don't want to do that. Webcam. There we go. We're going to make me smaller so you can see what's going on here. Okay, I'm small enough. Okay, I want to show you this video. A lot of people has probably seen this video before, but this is an experiment a research team in Switzerland done with, trying to determine what part of the brain makes them feel like they sense ghosts. Derek says, like a Ray stands in Ghostbusters with his lady friend. That's right. So check this out, guys. Let me disable or enable the audio. Here we go.
Have you ever felt a presence in the room that you just couldn't explain? You're not alone. It happens to endurance athletes, polar explorers, even the sleep-deprived. But what causes it? Scientists think that it arises in the brain rather than the spirit realm. It is common, especially among patients with neurological conditions such as schizophrenia. But where in the brain? Researchers from the Federal Polytechnic School of Lausanne in Switzerland may have the answer. They examined patients who reported frequently feeling a presence. Brain scans showed that they had unusual activity at points that linked different lobes of the brain. The team guessed that perhaps a ghostly presence comes out from a glitch in the brain's ability to integrate signals from those different lobes. To test the theory, they built a two-part robotic arm. One part was moved by a healthy volunteer. The second part traced the same movement on the volunteer's back. The setup activates the parts of the brain dedicated to movement, the sense of touch, and the volunteer's perceptions of where they are in space. By introducing a short delay between the volunteer's movement and its replication, the team were able to induce the feeling of a spooky presence in them. One even reported feeling the presence of 4 ghosts. That begins to reveal a mechanism for the ineffable feeling of a presence. Why it should happen to people in extreme conditions remains a mystery, but it is a starting point that could help to explain, and maybe even treat, those who are troubled more frequently by the phantoms.
Very interesting, right? Very, very interesting. So this also goes along with the feeling of being watched. The feeling of presence is there, the feelings of being watched. There are a few things outside of the psychological factors they talked about. There's like things like high electromagnetic fields can cause sensations on the body that make them feel like there's a presence or if they're being watched. And there's possibly many other things that can be explained to help you understand why you experience such things. So at the end of the day, we have to have scientific results providing objective information that we in fact are experiencing something paranormal. Okay, the faith-based stuff that we go on dealing with is fine. It's not hurting anybody. It's not, causing any problems with our culture as a whole, because we all are, it's our right to think and believe how we feel. And I think that is great. I do not, I'm not against that whatsoever. What I am trying to do is to find some legitimate and objective way to know whether I believe it or not, if it's real. So that's where I'm at now. And that's where I try to meet others in similar places. And I want to help that research move forward. Okay. Have I experienced things in my life that I believe paranormal? Yes. Okay. There's no explanation for them. There's somebody right there experiencing it. I don't believe that two people can see something not happen, but it was in their imagination. There's something going on out there, folks. But what it is very difficult to tie down. What it is very, very difficult to know. If it was this, if it was that. Okay? But the mind can play tricks on you. The mind is very powerful. It likes to fill in the blanks. It likes to seek out ways to cope with things that are horrible, like death. It likes to search out things like art and like music and like philosophy to stimulate the mind, to progress our consciousness ever forward into different ways outside of just the raw data that we see and hear and smell and touch. Our brains are flowering into many, many different facets of consciousness all the time. Okay? So separating all of those beautiful and wonderful things from something very objective and cold and black and white and materialistic is not fun. Okay? It's not fun at all. But it's something that interests people, and it's something that can be useful. Okay? And the useful part of it is this actually real? Is this something that we can replicate? Is this something that we can predict and know the physics of it, the mechanics of it? And that's where I am at. That's something that I am interested in doing. So if you're interested in doing the same, you can help me out. How can you help me out? Well, you can become a patron. Okay? Not only can you visit our website at interfacedeath.net, it's in the description of this video, you can help our paranormal research. We develop scientific tools that cost money to objectively know whether certain theories or hypotheses are correct. So that takes money. I'm poor. I'm broke all the time. I have kids. I'm married. Of course I'm poor and broke. But everything we do is out of pocket. So if you want to help Interface Death and my paranormal research, you can through patreon.com/support Interface Death. The ones who have done so are on the screen. Everybody who supports at least or pledges $1 gets their name on our live streams. They get shouted out every time I go live. Matt Benton, Clay Borman, Matthew Jackson, and RJ Murphy have been pledging most, if not all, this year. Okay. Their small contributions are very, very important to what we do. They allow us to do what we're doing. So if you like what I am doing and what Interface Death is doing, please go to the Patreon link in the description of this video. Check out all the rewards you can get. Find some value in just handing someone $1 a month and say, hey, I like what you're doing. I hope this helps. Because, it's a small token. But if we get all of our followers and all of our subscribers doing that, we have no worries when it comes to the financial support. And then our community can effectively impact paranormal research without much effort. So please consider doing that. Check out Deadlight LLC on Facebook. If you are a paranormal researcher and you want powerful infrared and full spectrum lighting systems for your research, we can accommodate that at Deadlight. Please check out Deadlight on Facebook.com/Deadlight17. And me and Josh Bender will hook you up with something very, very, very custom and very, very special and powerful for that application. Okay, guys. Thanks again for joining me. Sorry about the technical issues in the beginning of the show. I hate it when that happens, but I knew if I restarted it, I'd probably fix it. Thanks for everybody who tunes in each and every show and supports me, even though if you can't afford to be a Patreon supporter, you watch the show, you show interest, and you support me. Yep, Derek loves our patrons too. And all of our patrons are, in this instance, involved in the paranormal as well. So I urge you to check out and seek out all of their paranormal work too. I'm going to find a way to do that a little bit better, but for right now, I'm just going to shout them out. Necromancer is starting up again. Okay, I'm getting new and different guests for the Necromancer Live podcast I do on YouTube. So if you want to see me interview people in the paranormal community, investigators, authors, even paracelebrities I'll have on the show from time to time if they would like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, okay? Go to Interface Death on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notified when we go live tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I am interviewing Nicole Kabrowski of Westfield, Indiana. She is a paranormal researcher and paranormal author since she was 13 years old. She does books, tours, all kinds of cool stuff in the paranormal field. I'm hoping that she has really cool stories about the locations she deals with and things that she's happened in her past, and I am looking forward to talk to her. So check out the Necromancer Show. You can follow that stuff on Facebook as well. The link is probably not in the description for Necromancer, but you should, if you have problems finding it, just message me. I think that's all I got for you guys tonight. If you have any questions that you would like to ask me if you're watching this post, please message a page or visit our website. Subscribe to our mailing list on our website. You will not miss anything if you do that, and it will help us out tremendously. Stick around for a couple more video promotions. We have a brand new YouTube season coming out called Portals of the Past. Hopefully we can have a lot of support for that. You guys have a good evening. I care a lot for all of you guys, and I bid you farewell. We'll check you out on Necromancer. If not, we'll see you next Tuesday. I'll have another topic for you. You have a good night. Peace out.